Hi, everybody, and attention all Power Ranger fans, and as well as my fellow PR Lost Galaxy 2014 patrons. I have a major announcement regarding my fan film series of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which I have been doing for the last decade now. And if you've seen in a few of the video clips featured before this part of the video, I did mention about something I had been talking about as 2022 comes to a close at the time of recording this video. It's on the final week of 2022 at the time I'm recording this and putting it out. And I have been opening up on discussing about the change of production medium for my Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film series going forward. If you haven't heard and haven't really caught up with my fan film content for a year, even though it's busy and stressful and complicated this year has been for me and probably for a few others, I had these thoughts at the beginning of 2022 about canceling a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in favor of something else because, I should be grateful that in my 12 years, 10 if you count this channel and the content in general, doing it. The production medium change for my fan film series took effect since March or April, because when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about the change of things because it occurred to me since the beginning of 2022, and when I was already in that state of emotional burnout from everything and I felt like I wanted to end everything as possible, I had plans on wanting to cancel Power Rangers Lost Galaxy Infinite Frontier in favor of the film I'm currently working on and what I've been developing for a while. If my last main installment, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy The Wrath of Trakeena, didn't work out and didn't do well as hoped, and I would have no choice but take some years off developing a new film and change the status quo, change the production medium as much as possible. For all of those who didn't know, the fan films of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy I did before this point were paper doll movies. And if you see it in the video, and especially in the opening of it, I had finally brought the paper doll puppet stuff to an end with the content. Because I've been doing this for as long as I could remember, even long before I even was in the Power Rangers fandom, long before I even had a YouTube channel, long before I even had all these other social medias to show and express my passion for Power Rangers and my passion for my arts and crafts and stuff for it. I felt as though that since back in the first couple of months of 2022 before my 30th birthday in September, I had thoughts that if I hadn't finished Power Rangers Lost Galaxy Infinite Frontier before my 30th birthday and the other movie, I would just end everything basically and just quietly just end it, kill it, and move on. The only thing I actually ended was the paper doll stuff, because at this rate I was getting a bit too old for it. This is a me thing basically, because I felt that as my audience ages out of a certain age demographic, I felt as though that I needed to stop doing paper dolls. Actually, no adult in their 20s and 30s, even back when I was in my 20s doing this stuff for the last 10 years, didn't care for it because they thought it was stupid, dumb, or retarded, or childish, and them scratching their heads, why was these fan films puppets when they should have been live action fan films? And I've been making fan films of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, but the films I've been making before this point just didn't crack it. It just had Power Rangers Lost Galaxy in name and some of the visual aesthetics only of it, but it just didn't feel like it spiritually. As someone who's been doing fan films of Power Rangers for this long, ever since 2010, I had been wanting to do a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy with these paper dolls, starting with my abandoned 2010-2011 version of The Rise of Trakeena. And when that wasn't working out, then I did Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2014. And I actually made it with those paper dolls and put that film out there, but it wasn't well received. I did another one, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, The Wrath of Trakeena, and that was a paper doll fan film. And even then, even for a 3-hour, measly 3-hour, 12-minute long fan film with those paper dolls, nobody wanted to see that either. And I had to be that crazy out of my mind to make a 3-hour paper doll movie of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2014 and The Wrath of Trakeena are both still on my YouTube channel in their respective extended cuts, by the way. The films, as I've done them, were not that great. Even though I actually had the dedication to make the films with that stuff, but back then I wasn't being serious with what I was making. Yes, I have to confirm that I was going through mental health problems when I did those films with that stuff, because I was having a hard time growing out of a certain point in my life. Before this point, I had already long moved on from high school, but back when I did do that film, those two films, I was still stuck in the past, believing that I would do this forever for most of my adult life, but realizing I did waste a whole decade of my 20s on this kind of stuff because it was something I was passionate about. But I realized I was not going to get nowhere out of it. It was not a job. It was rather more of a hobby more than anything. And back when Saban had Power Rangers a decade ago during the Neo Saban era and stuff, I was doing these fan films under the radar of, and within the fandom. And I know I wasn't vocal enough to tell people that I'm making a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, but if some people were surprised that I was doing a fan film of it and saw that it was a paper doll movie, most people would be like, huh? What? And it even had a fair share of people who were like, doing a puppet movie of PRLG is dumb. It is. I was about to do and finish up Power Rangers Lost Galaxy Infinite Frontier last year and a half in 2021. I should have had the film out that year, even despite that, since COVID-19, that pandemic wasn't ending anytime soon. I just kind of fell out of that movie and fell out of interest in it and tried to complete that film. Infinite Frontier is the final fan film, unfortunately, at this time, and due to the change of the guard of production medium. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy Infinite Frontier will be the final fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy with the paper dolls, as I am working as going forward with these custom 12-inch action figures for the Galaxy Rangers for my planned Power Rangers sort of shared universe that I've been developing within the last 5-6 years after I had finished filming Wrath of Trakeena, that I wanted to do something different. And I've been thinking about it throughout 2022 and throughout all of the 365 days of 2022. It was pretty much, one, being an age thing, two, the fact that I had done it for way too long and I should have thought of something else. Three, that if I did one more fan film with those puppets, it's over for me. When I started this stuff 10 years ago on YouTube, I had a fair share of Power Ranger fans, or trolls for some of them out there, with on my video and just say some inflammatory thing just to make me feel like, man, I must have really sucked at my job, didn't I, when I was in my early 20s. Yes, I realized looking back, because again, maybe it's just the truth is I wasn't being aware of this, but the truth was I was in some way was getting too old for this. And it would have made sense if when I was a teenager, if I had started a YouTube channel when I was a teenager and was in high school special education and I did this. Would anybody give a crap then? And for someone who had already long aged out of high school, aged out of the school system and into the adult world. Now that it's been a decade since I've been an adult, I spent more of that valuable time in my 20s on this content. I was writhing in pain and anguish because a fan film I once did at that particular point in my time didn't make it. And again, when and like I said back in that Why Wrath of Trakeena failed video, that I posted 6 months ago in June, that I treated my magnum opus fan film project of The Rise of Trakeena like it was really important. Like it would be better than any other thing Power Rangers during the main within the main universe was doing, and better than what Saban was doing at the time, especially when we had Power Ranger Samurai 12 years ago. But then as time progressed, and then it's been 10 years since Megaforce. I did Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2014 within those 2 years since Megaforce, Super Megaforce. And when I put out my fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy 2014, that was right around the corner when Super Megaforce was coming to a close. And when I finally put out that fan film, I was shredded and ripped apart by people who said that the whole fan film sucked. I didn't like this paper doll thing. It was stupid. Why would any dude in his early 20s do something like that? Unless he's got to be a retard or something, or he was just doing it just to troll us. And that's what got those high almighty denizens of Ranger Board to find out about this content that I've been doing for so long. Even though I've already been blackballed by Ranger Board, even though I wanted to explain to them why did I did the fan film the way I did, but they didn't want to give me the time of day. So I was like, you know what, screw it. But of course, those that bullied and, those that were giving me all those disparaging comments and stuff back in 2013 and 14, now it's been a decade later. For all of those who called me out for the fan film stuff being a paper doll puppet movie because they thought what it was crap, it's been all these years later now, and I think I did y'all a favor. Within these last more than 2 years since the world shut down and now recovering from COVID, within these few years of not doing no new Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film project since The Wrath of Trakeena, I felt like it was time to go back to the drawing board, take a few years off, go back to the drawing board, start something else. I did had some stuff for Infinite Frontier shot before COVID, but after COVID, but once COVID happened, I lost interest. So that's why I spent more time as of 2022 doing this movie of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy with the 12-inch action figure customs. Because look, I've been doing paper dolls since I was in high school. When I was still in Gaithersburg High School in my freshman year. And ever since that time, 15 years ago in 2008, in ninth grade, when I was covering Romeo and Juliet for English class, and what inspired me was when it came to what happened back then, that when a part of my class during English was covering Romeo and Juliet, a part of us wanted to be in front of the camera wearing wigs and costume reenacting, classic Romeo and Juliet scenes. The other half wanted to do paper dolls. I went with paper dolls because the reason I did that was because at that time, I was uncomfortable back then being in front of a camera. I was also camera shy. And plus, one time when I was trying to do a gender-bent version of a character from Romeo and Juliet for English class in high school, ninth grade, back in 2008, during the second semester of my high school of ninth grade, I was ashamed of myself. So when the opportunity of doing paper puppets, paper dolls came up, then that's how I got inspired. And I've been doing paper dolls ever since. But I have to realize at 30 years old in 2022, going on 2023, I'm not in high school no more. I'm not in that special ed program I once was a part of anymore. And for anyone out there in Montgomery County and Gaithersburg, and even for anyone who knew me back at the high school, should listen and realize it's took me some years to get over that and get over the past, let that stuff go, because I was not going to do this forever. There was a fan film project of Power Rangers I was trying to do at one point when I was 16, 17 years old in 2009, the following year. And it was a Lost Galaxy fan film attempt when I was a teenager, but it never saw the light of day. I had footage for it, but that footage was taken away from me back in high school due to what I wish I would tell, but I don't think people would care nowadays because it did happen. So then come 2010. I was trying to do a fan film attempt of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy that I hope would finally see the light. And it was a paper doll movie. I had paper dolls for that project in the beginning of 2010 ready, only for those paper dolls to be tossed out because, you see, I had a really bad hand about these puppets. because I had people back in my life earlier on that didn't want me to do paper dolls, as I was also nearing adulthood in the beginning 12 years ago. And I had, when my dad was still alive, he was so against me doing paper dolls for my projects. Because, of course, no 17, 18, 19-year-old teenage boy, young man should be playing with that shit, even if you're autistic. I remember the paper dolls I had that I was supposed to have originally for the Rise of Trakeena 12 years ago, but those dolls are gone, long gone. So by the time I started the 12th grade, that's when it really took off a little bit. And I was trying to get somewhere with that at the time. And I know I've talked about the Rise of Trakeena in passing, if you guys don't know about my history, with my attempts of trying to do a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, especially one about, Lost Galaxy's main villainess, Trakeena, and how many times I tried to do a fan film with that villain in the Power Rangers fandom for a fan film. When I had those paper dolls, of course, like I've discussed, if you go back to my experience as a Yellow Ranger vlog, I did mention how when I fan cast myself as a Yellow Power Ranger, I had no idea 12 years time can do me horribly. And based on what my dad said, again, going by what my dad told me, that putting my face on stuff was considered bad luck. And I didn't believe it at first. I didn't believe him 12 years ago at first. But now look at me. I'm a train wreck. I'm a mess for even doing that stuff. Maybe he was right. Once I graduated from high school 12 years ago in 2011, with 2011 June 3rd coming up Saturday, in 6 months, I had some of those paper dolls in storage once that film didn't make it. So then come 2012, 2013, I still steadily did paper dolls. I did paper dolls for a long time, even past high school. I did not go to college. You know the rest. So within my 20s, and even in the years after I lost my dad, I still did fan films of Power Rangers with the paper puppets. But when the Wrath of Trakeena failed and didn't do well on YouTube as I hoped, and even on this channel, then I had to retreat and butt out from doing more of this content for a while. And so that's why I pretty much, throughout most of 2019, I haven't uploaded as much, because I was going through a serious post-release depression, if you will. In the months and years lead after The Wrath of Trakeena was uploaded, I think I read this as a sign that nobody wants to see me do any more paper doll movies of Power Rangers anymore. I still did a fan film of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy or two with the puppets, but Trakeena, the Insectile Queen of Darkness, didn't do well. So when I was still doing Infinite Frontier's initial 2 years of production, even amid of COVID in 2020 and 2021, was already to the point of already losing interest in paper dolls. And because I read this as a sign, because again, as I was nearing my 30th birthday these last 4 months, I was, in a way, like, I read this as a sign that, this has been going on too long. It's time to move on and just quit. Because as a grown man in his 30s now, I probably shouldn't do this anymore. So this is my final farewell adieu to them. Now, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy Infinite Frontier is not canceled. I just put that project on hold until I get what is those Megazords that was from Q Ranger, but will eventually be in the main show for Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. But then that's going to complicate things. Despite it being a fanfic thing I'm doing, and realizing it's a fan film, and a fan film that I've been working on for, come this March, will be 4 years since Infinite Frontier was in production. So I just pretty much put the project on hold until I got those Megazords. And once I finished the last of that movie, then it's time, after all of these years, to throw those paper dolls away. Because I pretty much did those who always hated me for years with that on this channel and this content a favor. I think it's time I threw away the puppets and grow up and move on with something like probably these 12-inch action figures. If this don't work out, then I'll make a major announcement throughout 2023. And I know you ain't gonna like it, but you gotta realize all good things must come to an end, right? So I just hope you guys understand, because this needed to come to an end. I was already too old for this stuff anyway. So it was time to say goodbye to this stuff once I'm done with this that movie I didn't finish 4 years ago. And once I do finish it, it's time to say goodbye to this paper doll stuff. I did those who hated me back in 2013 14 a favor, if you're watching. And so that's it, everyone. I just hope you guys understand, because it was just time, because I thought doing 12-inch action figures, since if you guys haven't known, I am doing a new fan film of Power Rangers Lost in Galaxy with toys rather than those puppets, because when I started doing these films with puppets, yeah, I was not getting anywhere. Even in the real world, I was getting nowhere. I chose that path because I had some unfinished business from my past, and I never got it finished. I had all that time, but no, I messed around too much. And plus, I was obsessing over what could have been done differently back when I did that other fan film before 2014. That was one of the reasons why I fooled around in my 20s when I was doing it, though. So, yeah, so that's why I am changing the medium. And that's it.